Something's wrong with Childe. That was the first thought I had when his vision started glitching in Fontaine. Not during a world-shattering boss fight, not facing down a god, just a simple skirmish. And yet, his vision flickered, and he didn't even flinch. Most players shrugged it off, but I couldn't, because in Teyvat, visions don't just stop working, unless something bigger is happening. I'm Princess Farron, and today we're diving headfirst into the abyss, into Tartaglia's past, his future, and the cosmic secrets hiding behind that flickering blue gem on his belt. This isn't just about a vision. This is about fate, identity, and whether one of Teyvat's most powerful warriors is even human anymore. So join me on a journey from the frozen lakes of Snezhnaya to the depths of the void, because Childe's story isn't ending. It's transforming, and it might just reshape everything we thought we knew about Teyvat, the Descenders, and the gods themselves. Let's begin. When I first played the Fontaine part of the game, I was super curious as to why Childe's vision glitched amidst a minor fight, and he didn't even seem fazed about it. He entrusted his vision to the Traveler, and up until the point where Skirk threw Tartaglia through that abyss hole, I waited for answers. Maybe a line from Skirk, maybe a hidden cutscene, but nothing came. So I started connecting the dots, because that's what I do. First of all, I believe his vision glitching is not just a gameplay narrative beat, but a sign of a larger transformation. Either a shift in his elemental affinity, or the unveiling of his true origin. Visions are gifts granted to mortals, not to abyssal beings, mortals. Visions are granted when a mortal has a goal, an ambition that is strong enough to be recognized by Celestia. The vision is supposedly granted as a way to give them enough power so they can overcome obstacles to their goals and allow them to persist on their path. I've never seen a vision just stop working. Not even when it's wills or dies. There's one case I'd like to mention, though it's not the same situation, but Kazuha's friend's vision worked again on Kazuha's hands, even when he helped fulfill his late friend's goal. More precisely, his electrovision came to life when Kazuha protected the Traveler from Raiden, thus making his friend's words come true. There would always be those who dare to brave the lightning's glow. This was the case of a vision that came to life even after its owner was no longer alive. All that because his will and ambition remained the same until the very end, and someone else was then able to see it come to fruition. But Childe's vision flickered while he was alive. Still breathing, still fighting. That's new. Could it mean he's no longer mortal enough to need it? At first, I thought Tartaglia's ambition might have changed. Maybe it was everything that happened in Liyue, maybe it was a Traveler's influence, or even a quiet desire to become better for Tusser. But what if something deeper is happening? And if we take into consideration what we know about his master, Skirk, who doesn't rely on a vision to exert her power, that may mean that Childe could only be using the Abyss power. But why only now, after so much time has passed? We could say he relies on his illusion power, but it only happens when he transforms. Here's where things get cosmic and incredible revealing. Let's talk about the artifact set known as Deep Galleries, Skirk's artifact set lore. Buried in its lore is a tale of something ancient, a Voyager from outer space. This being once answered the call of the dragon Nibelung, but when it returned, it found the world changed. The sky was fake, the stars were lies. So it poured its consciousness into a mortal boy in the Golden City, likely Hyperborea, probably located in what is now Snezhnaya. The boy, like Ajax, was bold. He watched people debating how to quell God's wrath. After listening for a while, the boy intervened, and the priest sent him to Irminsul to plead his case. There, he met the first angel, the ancestor Silly. The youth and the angel fell in love, and this broke her shackles and allowed her to speak freely. The first angel disclosed the secrets of creation to the Golden City and manifested the desire for mortals to create a new city in the sky, where gods and mortals could be equal, which caused all the chaos and the angel curse. For her crime of choosing one mortal above all others, the angel was cursed to lose her form, to vanish if she ever loved too specifically. That story isn't just myth, it's Skirk's backstory. She was sent to the north by Tartaglia, the Foul, one of the 5 sinners of Conria, who's been pursuing some sort of perfection, in order to find a boy who held the Voyager's essence. And who does she find? A child who fell into the abyss, a child named Ajax. Or Ajas, if you want to be more precise. Just like the hero, whose stories his father used to tell him when he was a kid and they were both fishing on frozen lakes. As a matter of fact, Ajax's father used to tell him unending adventure stories from when he was young. In Ballad of the Fjords, we hear the tales Ajax's father used to tell him. A young hero named Ajax who discovered Hyperborea, who sailed into a great whale, who fought a dragon for 7 days, who fell in love with Snezhnaya, the first angel, Silly, yet lost her due to the wicked tricks of the changelings. A truly tragic tale. Ajax's father then goes on to say that the last story worth telling goes something like this. The boy born to hunt fish beneath the ice with harpoons fell into a hitherto undiscovered kingdom. This ancient capital had sunk into the depths of the earth due to some ancient disaster, but despite being buried underground, it was still as bright as dawn. The solemn and silent king yet sat upon his white throne, and the silver-white trees, Irminsul, in the courtyard held the wise priests in their embrace. One by one, twisted and violent monsters awakened from their 1,000-year slumber. But the boy managed to defeat the dragon that slept deep within the kingdom. The dragon's treasure was an infinite hoard of gold, but the boy was kind and brave, and knew that gold was the true cause of calamity and chaos, and so only took a small amount, enough for his own needs, and to cure his sick friends. These aren't just bedtime stories, they are prophecy. And when child asks if that's the end, his father says, "Another story next time." Maybe the story isn't over because it's still happening, and the new hero is his son. Now let's return to the boy we know, Ajax, the child who fell. At 14, Ajax ran from home, just a sword and a bag of bread. As he ran away from the beasts, he fell into the abyss and into fate. There he witnessed the endless possibilities of another ancient world, Hyperborea most likely, and met a mysterious swordswoman, Skirk, who would become his master. Skirk initially took him on and taught him combat skills because she sensed it within him. Maybe it was the narwhal, maybe it was the Voyager. The swordsman taught Tartaglia how to pass through the abyss unhindered, and more importantly, nurtured the ability to stir up endless havoc from within Ajax's trouble-mongering nature. Skirk claims she doesn't speak much to the weak and has difficulty communicating with humans. Despite this, she is his master and has been a significant influence on his development. 3 months pass in the abyss, while only 3 days pass in the real world. When Ajax returned, he wouldn't speak of what happened to anyone, not even to his family. He had returned from the abyss a changed person, a warrior with a now rusty short sword in hand and a foul legacy, which was taught to him by Skirk, who in turn had learned it from Tartaglia the Foul. In her presentation, Skirk, Voidstar Senior's pupil, Fool's Master, we also have the information that in the days after the underground civilization Kandria collapsed, upon a patch of unremembered scorched earth, the one who despised destiny, Surtology, plucked a young girl from the hand of fate. Once that girl, Skirk, had grown up, she too saved a child ensnared by Providence, Ajax. As we can see, in Skirk's own lore, she is a child plucked from fate by Surtology, and in turn, she saves Ajax. Both were chosen. Both were altered by the experience. Childe's story isn't just a descent. It's a hero's journey, echoing the boy possessed by the stars who defied heaven for love. I'm sure most of you have also noticed the achievement you get when you fight Childe in Liyue without having any party member marked and hit by his follow-up attack. It's the Outlander versus Outlander achievement. Of course, it could only mean both the Traveler and Childe were foreigners in Liyue. But if that were the case, the English translation could have used precisely that word instead of Outlander. And we know that the Traveler is an Outlander as well as a Descender. So, using that achievement title for a fight with Childe probably hints at something significant that they both share. Now, I am not saying that Childe is a Descender, alright? But he could be a descendant of an Outlander. We know the first Descender was Fanes, the second one was the second who came. The noses are the remains of the third Descender, and the fourth one is a Traveler. I'd like to speculate that Childe may be the descendant of that boy whose consciousness was merged with the Voyagers, the second who came. I'd like to remember that it was the union of the Voyager with the Silly that gave birth to the Conrians, meaning that they are of partial alien, partial divine origin. Moreover, the Voyager descended into the body of an ordinary mortal man, and after that, this young man became like a God-man Christ. He questioned and defied the priests, and this young man fell in love with the first angel. Ajax went through the ritual after which a human becomes one with God. The new artifact set tells about the love of a fallen angel in a human, and I want to remind you of this. Nephilim are the children of fallen angels and humans. Bringing the original Ajax back into the mix, he was a hero capable of great feats, almost otherworldly in scope. Maybe his prowess was due to the fact that he was a Nephilim, the original one possessed by the Voyager, or one of its descendants. Childe, Tartaglia, shares a name and a fate with him. The hero Ajax also fell into the abyss. We already suspected that since Simulanka, where it was made plain to see that the act of writing and giving names to places and people could create their destinies. And we had a clear confirmation of that relevance in Natlan and its ancient names. Besides the way Tartaglia's life seems to echo that of the original Ajax, there's the archetype of the Morning Star that fits so well with his character traits and story arc so far. I've actually had this idea since the Moonlit Bamboo Forest animation started circulating again due to the Moonweb event. The Morning Star figure actually reminded me of both the male version of the Traveler and of Tartaglia. And I started thinking, in Christian times, Lucifer was Satan's name before his fall. And as a matter of fact, Lucifer actually means morning star, the same as the planet Venus at dawn, but also bearer of light. So the morning star is a mythological figure. It can be viewed as a warning, as a hero doomed to fall, or as a light bringer. It's a myth of duality, and Tartaglia is a reflection of this, someone who brings both salvation and destruction. So we have here a Lucifer/Venus symbolism. Beautiful, proud, cast down from heaven, and associated with rebellion. associated with dawn and beginnings, a bright but tragic figure. And Tartaglia? He definitely fits this motif. He's elegant, strong, and proud, yet walks a self-destructive path. And his foul legacy form is both impressive and monstrous. Once again, we have a duality aspect to him. He's fiercely loyal, but exists in moral gray like a noble warrior who walks in darkness. Tartaglia is like day and night. He had hydro and the dark electro power of the foul transformation. He's both a ruthless warrior and a loving brother. He appears calm but carries apocalyptic force, just like Venus can symbolize both light and impending downfall. And like the morning star Lucifer, he fell into the abyss and came back changed. When, as a young boy, Ajax left his home in search of adventure, he inadvertently started an unexpected journey. And this is where I'd like to establish another point. Tartaglia is the 11th Fatui. And as you know, Fatui is Latin for fools. And all the Fatui codenames had their origin in the Commedia dell'arte, whose wise fool character archetype was very popular during the European Renaissance. Their theater productions often featured wise fool or trickster characters. So, they're not fools in the sense of being silly, clearly. So I remember the tarot card of the Fool. The Rider-Waite version depicts it as a young, carefree person on the verge of a journey, walking towards a cliff edge. And he is often shown with a small dog at his heels, a knapsack, and a white rose. The young man of the card embodies optimism, enthusiasm, and a willingness to embrace the unknown. The knapsack contains the fool's worldly possessions and limited experience, because this is the beginning of the journey, representing potential and untapped knowledge. The white rose symbolizes purity and new beginnings. The dog, a well-known symbol of loyalty and protection, encourages the fool to move forward. And the edge of the cliff signifies a point of decision and the beginning of a new journey. All these symbols evoke very clearly the image of the young Ajax, as he left his home with a short sword and a bag with bread, don't they? As a matter of fact, his journey began as a leap of faith that led him into the abyss. The Fool is the card number 0 in tarot, symbolizing the aforementioned beginnings, naive courage, and the start of transformation. And I believe this archetype suits Ajax down to a T. And it could mean that Childe's arc is only starting, and his role is much bigger than just being the 11th member of the Fatui. He's a tarot kind of fool, not a joke, but the start of something divine. So much so that maybe he isn't falling, but instead ascending to a higher level of relevance, getting ready to assume a larger role in the grand scheme of the events about to unfold in Teyvat. Ajax's story is not ending, but transcending. And the new Skirk info teases precisely that Ajax is supposed to achieve greatness comparable to that of Surtology, and to travel beyond Teyvat. So, what if Childe's vision didn't fail him? What if it freed him? Ajax isn't just another vision wielder. He's not just a harbinger, not just a brother. He was chosen, recognized by something older than the Archons. That narwhal, that celestial being, didn't simply accept him, it knew him. The flickering of his vision? That might not be rejection. It could be release. Because maybe he's changing. Maybe Tartaglia is becoming something beyond Hydro, beyond Fatui ranks, beyond the vision system itself. We already know Skirk, his mentor, the one who plucked him from fate, doesn't use a vision, and yet she holds terrifying raw power. What if Childe is next? What if his true origin lies not in Teyvat, but beyond it? A cosmic inheritance, a being destined to challenge the very order of gods. That's the theory. His vision didn't break because he's weaker. It's breaking because he's outgrowing it. And now, he might switch elements. He might cast it aside. He might even become a descender who defies the fate of Teyvat. Or he might fight it just to hold on to being Ajax a little longer. Whatever path he takes, one thing's for sure. Tartaglia is no longer just a warrior. He's no longer just a fool. He's something else. Teyvat isn't ready. So let me ask you this. What if Tartaglia isn't just from Teyvat? What if he's the key to everything beyond it? The Descenders, the Silly, the fall of the false sky itself? Drop your thoughts below. Do you think Childe is ascending to something greater? Or is it just the beginning of a deeper tragedy? Like, comment, and subscribe if this theory sent your vision flickering to you. This is Princess Farron signing out. Take care and good gaming, travelers! Bye-bye!